What's up, my friend? I hope you're doing well, and welcome back to another video. So today I'm really excited because I'm actually going to chat with a fellow YouTuber and friend and composer, Alex Pfeffer. So Alex is a wonderful composer. He's done a lot of trailer work and video game work. He's created his own sample libraries and his own courses, and he really is just a really well-rounded composer, and he knows a lot about what's going on in today's day and age. So I thought it would be a great opportunity to chat with him, pick his brain a little bit on some musical topics and also some business topics, and hopefully by the end of this, you'll get a sense of how you can actually operate a lot in today's musical landscape and the opportunities that are actually out there for us. We just have to go and get them and put the work into it and be consistent with the practice and the routine. So without further ado, let me share with you my chat with Alex. I hope you enjoy, and yeah, let's get into it. All right, Alex, so glad to have you here. Thank you so much for coming on the channel. Really do appreciate it. And for those of you watching, if you don't know Alex's channel, you definitely should. He does some wonderful work with video games and trailers and God knows what else, so much stuff. But Alex, thank you so much for being here, man. And I definitely wanted to chat about the music side of things, but also the business side of things, because we know more than ever it's so important to adapt to your surroundings. And nowadays with the climate and what's happening, having a presence online is more important than ever before. But we'll dive into those juicy details. Maybe first of all, can you share a little bit about your musical background and how you got here?
Yeah, so first of all, thank you so much, Chris, for having me. It's a pleasure, really. So a little bit of my background. I'm Alex Pfeffer. I'm a composer from Hamburg, Germany, and I'm actually working for around 17 years in, professionally as a trailer music, licensed music writer, but also for video games. Well, that's basically it. I mean, there is a lot more to it.
Yes.
but that's how I actually got into this. Well, actually, how I got into this is actually pretty unconventional, how you say, because I got in basically everything that I do with just writing demos for sample libraries. So that's how I got into the business. People just got, noticed my demos, and I tried always to incorporate something into the demos that was a little bit unusual, that people didn't expect. And so that was kind of a good idea, to incorporate stuff that, let's see what you did this time. And so I got in contact with companies and producers, musicians, and
I see. Okay. So at that point in time, were you writing those demos first, like I guess you could say cold calling companies or whatever, reaching out to them, or did you already have that YouTube channel established, or was it like, what was the order of things for you?
Yeah, that was actually pretty funny, because writing the demos was actually the origin of how my YouTube channel came to be. Gotcha. Because in the beginning, I was sitting there, with like free crappy samples and sound fonts and all that stuff. And when I was listening to that time when the first sample libraries were released, everything sounded very classical focused, and which is cool, but also like romantic movie. At least that was my impression. But there was nothing like, make it some action music or a trailer or something that is, a little bit more into the Matrix direction, a little bit more film focused or something. Sure. And I thought, man, I'm just getting all my crappy stuff together and build one song, one composition, and just send it off to some big companies. And I mean, if I look back, that first composition was really, crappy. You actually don't want to hear it. You're like, oh my God, what is this? But it kind of like impressed, funnily, because I sent this to East West, Quantum Leap, Doug Rogers, and I sent it to him and said, hey, you want me to write a demo for you for this upcoming, East West Quantum Leap Symphonic Orchestra. That was during the time where this gold and the platinum orchestra has been, highly awaited from everyone. Right. And yeah, that was actually the way on how I got into writing sample demos, because I got a message from him saying, yes, I'm sending you an NFR, like a non-for resale version, and you just write us 2 demos. And after I delivered the demos, people asked me, well, how you did this, And I was like kind of surprised, because I considered myself to be that little guy from Germany. And but if people are interested, I'm not holding back. I'm not hesitating to show my, secrets. It wasn't really secrets back then, because I just did something that obviously that I assumed everyone does anyway. So, but there were some people, starting out in music, and I had a little bit of a music background back then. I studied guitar in Los Angeles at the Los Angeles College of Music. They renamed themselves. It was called like Llama before.
Okay.
I think Los Angeles Music Academy. So,
Okay. Okay.
but anyway, I was just I think I knew what I do, what I did
Mm,
uh,
mm,
for that demo, and yeah, and this was the point when people asked me, how did you this how did you do this, and I thought looking for a solution on how to share my screen, and I don't know what software I used, but I was
mhm.
happy to just film and record the screen of Cubase and just writing what I did, so I
Yes.
used this preset and used that preset, and
Right.
this is the next track using this element. And so basically I did like a walkthrough video of that track by basically just letting it play back and just show the patches that I've used, so people
Right.
could have an insight into the MIDI files and all that stuff, into the arrangements. Yeah. And it was pretty successful, to be honest. So lots of people were watching my videos, and though I thought, okay, let's continue doing this. Let's
Mm,
continue explaining stuff
yes.
as good as possible.
Yes. I mean, you just ride the momentum, right? And at a certain point, I'm sure there was something that clicked with you that said, okay, now I want to dive more into digital products. I really want to, scale an online business basically, and maybe rely less on, let's say, freelance work or things like that. So when was that certain point, and what type of, I guess, opportunities in terms of like products kind of attracted you? Let's say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so probably that point was like 5 years ago, where I was really kind of like not really burned out. I think I was like short before that stage.
Mm,
That was like combined with that question, where do I want to go in life?
yeah,
What is this all about? You're just
exactly.
sitting there and thinking about, do you want to do this? Obviously, I want to do it until I'm, 70, 80, 90 years old.
Yes.
But do I want to sit there and work for like 12, 14, 16 hours a day, and then dealing with customer feedback or client feedback and saying like, yeah, we just have to do this and we have to do this. And sometimes, we don't have that much, that high budget, and then you're kind of like feeling stressed out. And
Mm,
this is also a point when so many composers try to get into the business. Yeah, congratulations, but this is where it starts to get serious.
yes.
It's
That's
like with a marriage, you just marry, and this
yes.
is the point where you start the relationship, and not
Yes.
where there's the happy end.
Wow. No, that's
So
yes. Sorry. Yeah, no, I,
I'm
I was
sorry.
just gonna say like that makes a lot of sense, and I totally relate to that. Like, just the having that question of like where am I actually going with this? Like, what do I actually feel the most fulfilled with, right? And I
Mhm.
think we all got into music because we just enjoyed making music rather than
Yeah, right.
having to feel like we have to meet certain deadlines and feel stressed out, like you said.
Yeah.
But um, yeah, so like what were some of your first, I guess, digital products then after starting this business?
Yeah. So at this point, I thought, I have a little bit of expertise in the trailer business and video games business. So, but I just wanted to focus on some actually sample libraries that I considered, to be more like tools that
Mm,
composers would want or hopefully wanted.
yes.
Because when you looked at forums, and especially other sample libraries, um, most of them had like 5 risers, for example, 5 risers, 5 downers, 5 big hits or something.
Yeah, yeah.
And I just thought, every time, so basically you have to do, or back then you had to buy like 3, 4, 5 libraries to have like a little bit of a repertoire for
Mm,
20 downers or something, that when you produce music, they all sound a little bit different.
yeah.
And to that time I thought, man, there are people actually requesting these libraries. Wouldn't it be cool to just have like risers only or downers only? So
Mm.
this was kind of like the first try of thinking, yeah, I should come up with little sample libraries like this.
Yeah, no, I think that it just comes back down to that entrepreneur mindset. Like when there's a hole in the
Yeah.
market, you just go and fill it. And at a certain point, I know you then expanded into courses and MIDI packs and things like that.
Yeah.
So that all being said, like what are some of those avenues that you might want to recommend, let's say, to someone starting out in the business and maybe they don't really know which direction they want to go? What's
Mhm.
kind of a feasible option to start with?
So I think the first is, it's totally cool to just go the traditional way of just applying companies and all that. But I think the biggest problem is to get to the transition of making or becoming a full-time composer, and that's what you need money for. You just need a budget, you need saving or something, because maybe you have a main, or hopefully you have a main job, and then you want to transition to become a composer. So there could be like several strategies to just get through this gap. And the only way in the traditional sense would be to just have lots of savings, and or then reducing your job to a half-time, how do you say, like a half-day part-time job. Yeah, thanks. Yeah. And but there could be something else, that instead of just looking out how to find work for projects, video game companies signing up with trailer companies or something, would build like a little bit of a digital product that is based on what you did already. Because when you want to become a composer, most of the time you have been playing guitar or piano for like 5 or 10 years or something. You have some kind of like you're not sitting there as like, I become a composer, and then you just, let's buy a computer and some sample libraries and go. I mean, at some point it all starts, but obviously there was a little love for music happening for the last years already. So, and I would recommend to just build something that you do very well, because everybody does something very well. I'm convinced, even so, when people say, I don't know, I think I'm not good at something, I think I'm not good at something, but there is something, that they are good at. Maybe there is some guitar nerd sitting there, with all kinds of effects pedals, and they like building drone sounds or evolving atmospheres. So you could easily create like a little loop pack of 50 loops or something, just sit down for a few evenings and sell that. And if it's original, and if people love what you do, then people will appreciate your products.
Makes a lot of sense, for sure. Yeah. So once they get to that stage, let's say they've put in the work to build a product, and maybe they've done some market research, they've reached out to their circle of friends, like, this is something we actually need. Okay, so I'll make that product for you. How do you actually go about selling that? What are maybe a couple platforms you might recommend for selling, let's say, a course versus a MIDI pack or a sample library or things like that?
I think you can make good use of all these social networks out there. I mean, when you look back for like, I mean, I was like this, when I was a little boy, I was thinking like, how awesome would it be if you have your own TV show? We had 3 channels in Germany on German television. It was like channel 1, 2, 3, and and there wasn't really a lot of choice. So you appreciate it when more channels came along, and then wouldn't it be cool if you have your own TV show? You could talk about this and talk about this, and now it's the opportunity. It's all there. And so this is where I think it sounds kind of rough, but where 99% of composers always fail is just keeping that consistency. If you go to a gym, for example, and say, I want to get ripped, you just not get on the floor and do like 100 push-ups and check your muscles or something. You just go there and you do 5, and then you do 10, and then you do 15, and you proceed until you make 100, and then you eventually get into some more exercises, and then one day, maybe like half a year or a year later, you check back, and then wow, it really worked. And I think it's a little bit like working in this industry, and having success is a little bit like watching grass grow. It just needs a lot of time, and it also needs a lot of consistency. And what I think the main problem is, especially in that world where we have like an 8 how do you say, 8 seconds of getting the attention of a video, the attention span of 8 seconds. So it's pretty much to lose the focus on your journey, and to realize that it all takes a lot of time to build it. And lots of people want to have too much too quick. If that makes sense. So you just have to portion, and this is where most fail, because they think, oh man, I'm never going to get there, like 500 miles away to that place if I just walk. But if I just do like 10 steps or 20 steps every day, you will get there sooner or later.
Wow. There's so much to unpack there. So much.
I'm sorry that I'm drifting off lots of times.
No, that's exactly where we wanted to go. I mean,
it's like that old guy is just like going there and going there.
No, that's perfect. Like there's a saying, I think it's like, people underestimate what they can do in a year, but they people overestimate what they can do in a year, but they underestimate what they can do in a decade. Something like that. And Yeah, like if you commit to the right actions and do them consistently, like Alex said, it's so true that it takes time. Like for me personally, it took me 3 to 4 years of my YouTube channel so far to kind of grow to a place where I am seeing that accelerated growth, and I'm be getting more hopeful about it. I'm putting more fire into it, but it really just takes that consistency, it takes that determination and consistency really.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, like as you're a creator, you're bound to get better and better at your craft too, right? Like your quality gets better, the way you speak gets better, everything. And so that naturally attracts more people, that audience starts to build, and it's just inevitable that you will see that success faster and faster and starts to become
Yeah.
exponential, right?
I mean, actually, you're the best example.
I know.
I knew you
Oh,
when you started your
oh,
YouTube channel, and you like, you just
oh
took
my
off like
gosh.
crazy.
I
Because I
know.
mean, you're the best example when it comes to like this consistency. And I was like really blown away when I remember one time you posted that on Facebook, something that you said you prepared all your content for the next.
Oh,
What time was it? I was like, man, that guy is like on fire. Was
no.
it like a full year, or a half a year, or 6 months or
Yeah, it
something?
was it was like I think it was for the next 3 months I had daily videos
Yeah,
planned, basically something like that,
yeah.
just as an experiment. But
But I mean,
man,
yeah, that's how you find out about this. I mean, and to be honest, YouTube got the best analytics, I
yes,
think,
yes,
out there,
yes,
where you can really understand what video went best. Where people left off. What is the retention rate of each of these videos? What is your? I mean, with tools like TubeBuddy or something similar,
yes.
where you can find out the search engine optimization or the score of how your videos perform and all that stuff. So
Mm,
it's like basically like pure mathematics and some logic. You
yeah,
just put in not the digital audio workstation, but
for sure, for
some,
sure.
yeah, a dead joke. But
Yeah.
you just using all these little things and just come to that conclusion. Okay, so I know where I need to go now, and you
Yeah.
definitely know that point when you make it to the YouTube homepage.
That's great. Yeah. Um, so it sounds like being a composer, or really just being in really any field nowadays, there's a big component of success attributed to being online, or at least having a presence in some way for people to find you and understand like your personality and what you do, right?
Yeah.
So for someone who wants to kind of go with that route, what's maybe one thing that you would definitely recommend them do to start off, and what's one thing you would highly recommend against doing?
Okay, so what I would
uh,
recommend to do, the first thing is to not overthink the process. I mean, this is like, I sound like a broken record when I
um,
say this, but
sure, sure.
don't overthink the process is probably the one thing that I would have, if I could travel back in time. Basically I'm happy with, because everything that happened made me the man and the person I am
Exactly.
today, which
Yeah.
I'm really grateful for. But if there would be one thing,
Yeah.
kind of like ironic, but or the kind of paradox, because I wouldn't want it, but blah, you get the what I'm
Hmm.
trying to say. So if I could travel back and give me one advice, it would be like, don't overthink the process, don't think too much. And if you want to build your YouTube channel, most people are like, I talk to so many composers, and they are like, yeah, and I'm going to do that video series about whatever digital audio workstation, or I'm talking about this, and it involves like a series of 100 videos. And it's like, just do one first, do
Exactly.
your first one.
Yes.
And I wouldn't put too much weight into it, exactly what you compose. You could, or what you do. You could literally just introduce yourself to the camera, and just write a little script, and put that next to you, and just, hey, my name is Alex, or hey, my name is Chris. I'm doing this or that. And thanks for watching me, and hope you follow me on my journey. And you will
Yeah.
probably have like 3, 5, or 10 subscribers that will follow you along.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
think, yeah, what would be important to not do? I think we talked about this before, but trying to want too much too quickly.
Mm.
There is no quick route, especially when it comes to networking with other composers. I get these questions so often that is literally, can I have Thomas Bergeson's telephone
Oh,
number?
yeah.
It's
Yes,
it's
yes,
just,
yeah.
I'm exaggerating a little bit, but I
Yeah,
mean, it
yeah, yeah.
happened. But
Sure.
what I'm trying to say. So, what is the best way to get? What is the best video games company to work for? What is the best
Mm.
trailer music library or a company to work with? And
Right.
it's not. It's like, dude, it's not about
Yeah.
selecting these things and wishful thinking about what
Right.
way to go, you're just happy when you get seen, when you
Yes.
get discovered. And this only happens when you do stuff consistently. If you want to go, for example, the YouTube way.
Right. Yeah, like it's great to be ambitious, but at the same time you want to appreciate those small wins and celebrate one step at a
Yeah.
time, right? And because if
Yeah.
you don't, then you're never happy and then the
Right.
whole thing seems pointless. And if you're trying to be the best, if you want to have the most projects, like that's never going to happen because there's always going to be someone who's better than you and someone who you're always trying to reach. And that just brings up the idea of competition again. And I believe that like rather than competitors, we can think of our peers as collaborators, which is a lot easier on the psyche, and it just makes the work a
Yeah.
lot better too. So yeah, no, that's great, Alex. And nowadays I know that you're doing a lot of not just music content but also business content on your channel. So when
Hmm.
people let's say my audience want to watch some of your stuff, and they definitely should, what can they expect from the general purpose of your channel? Like what are you trying to say with your message?
Yeah. So my general message would basically to inspire, motivate, and encourage people to just get out of, take these blinders off. And I'm not saying that, everybody has these on, but most of the time, what I experience from aspiring new composers is that they, should I go for video games or should I go licensed music or trailer music or something? And I would just recommend to just open your eyes towards everything, because if you just, for example, start in video games or trailer music, it doesn't mean that you cannot become a film composer, what your ultimate goal, for example, is. And
Right.
the other way I would encourage people is to understand what this true happiness is. So most of the time when you ask yourself, you want to become the next, you know, highest grossing film composer in Hollywood or something. This is pretty tough.
Yes.
Most people, if Hans Zimmer would invite like 10 people in their studio, everybody would cut off their arms to get there, which would
Right.
be a paradox again, because without, but it would be just people would do everything. That's what I wanted to say. Sorry for my black humor once in a while, but it's
Love
like
it.
people would do everything, to
Yeah.
get there. And then if they would realize how hard it is to actually work there, so I think they should be open-minded to everything. And if you just have this goal, if you just have this vision to become Hollywood's next top composer, that is cool. But I wouldn't just throw everything else away, because eventually you make your way into video games music, for example, and you really like it, and you maybe like the interactive factor of music even more than film, because if you watch a film 10 times, it most of the
Yes.
time or stays the same,
Yes,
when you just
absolutely.
rewatch
Most
it.
of the time.
And
Yeah.
if nothing gets in between. So,
Yes.
but if you play a video game, there could be like, basically, even if there's just one ending in the video game, it could have like 10 outcomes and how you got there.
Yes.
So this is very the interesting way, and especially in video games music, the player writes the music because of their decisions and everything, not the composer. The composer just has to deliver these interactive bits.
Right.
So maybe if someone finds that more interesting than becoming a movie composer, and then suddenly they are like at a point in their life and saying like, wow, it was pretty cool that I just kept my eyes open to analyze everything that is going on there.
Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, just like all of that encapsulated, what I'm hearing is you just have to be willing to learn. You have to be willing to accept new things, and it like the whole process of being a composer is a learning journey, right? Like you're outputting music, you're a creator, but at the same time, you have to be willing to accept new influences and see what comes your way, and just have an optimistic outlook on what potentially can work and see what else interests you. So that's a
Yeah.
super helpful message, which I really do appreciate. And I know that you're actually doing a challenge of sorts, right? So maybe you can tell us a bit about that and how people can find it.
Yeah, the audio entrepreneur challenge. I'm still struggling with the word sometimes,
Audio
entrepreneur,
entrepreneur challenge. No, it's
but
great. Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, but basically what this challenge is. So after I did this after building my video games and my trailer music course, and these are the two areas that I think I'm, not an ex. I wouldn't consider myself an expert, but I did that professionally for a long time. So especially with the trailer and the video games course, it's just something that I wanted to build to give away the experience that I gathered along the way, and maybe just clean up with a few things that, you know, people shouldn't do and should do, and should focus on, and all that stuff. And then I just realized with these courses and all with the digital products, with the sample libraries that later turned on later into MIDI packs and these inspirational boxes, how I call that, because just as a side note, the reason why I did that is that there may be people who just want to get into orchestration without learning everything right away in the beginning with harmony and theory. If you're a guitar player, you just sometimes want to play a minor pentatonic and noodle along over an E and an A chord or something.
Yes.
And if you want to really head into harmony and theory, if you get interested in the orchestration, how, for example, John Williams or the old masters do it, you will get there anyway, you know. So just a quick thing to these inspirational boxes that I also built on my store. And I just realized how successful this all was. So obviously I hit like a nerve that people wanted these little libraries and, you know, these inspirational boxes, and also the experience that I had to share on these courses. And then I thought, you know, maybe there is somebody who just wants to go that route of not just knocking at the door of some video game company and trying to get in and looking for work, but maybe there is somebody out there who would appreciate to have this feeling of being worry-free. You know, when you wake up in the morning, I mean, it kind of sounds weird, but when you get up in the morning and you know, oh, you sold like 5 products and 2 courses, and you're just joking, I don't need to get up today, you know. I mean, even though I changed my life rhythm to be an early bird, you know, getting up at something between 5 and 7 something, which I think now is way better than staying up late. So, but maybe, you know, the point is basically that with that entrepreneur challenge, I just want to animate and inspire people again to try something that there is still this one other door of opportunities, that is building your own business. And eventually to a point where you become that successful that you say, I don't need to worry, you know, if there is a movie project or a game project coming in at all, because I'm easily able to pay the expenses of the month or monthly.
Yes, that's great. Yeah.
So yeah.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Just quick to. So wanted to say, so I designed this challenge like as if it would be steps that you can do in 11 days. Of course, not each of these could be seen as days, but it's kind of like also an inspiration to keep it, again, with a process of not overthinking stuff, but just taking one day, for example, in the beginning, about your skill that you think that would be good enough to build something, a digital product that people would appreciate. And then on the second day, you know, just trying to come up with a product. And on the third day, just taking care of finding the right domain and thinking about the brand name and all that stuff to get your head spinning in a positive way. So I designed it like this. And the outcome is basically that they fully know and how to get, you know, email subscribers from just interested viewers of their YouTube channel, for example. And turn, of course, these interested people into hopefully buying customers then.
Right. No, that's great. And having that complete kind of system, like knowing the what, but also the, you know, the when and the how and all of that stuff packaged into one course basically is a great, I guess, incentive to actually get moving and taking action if you're kind of on the fence about it. So all that information will be in the description. Thanks again, Alex. It's been a pleasure. And just talking about this type of stuff is super exciting because of all those opportunities and you know, things that are available to us today. There really is no excuse, I guess. So
there are so many opportunities. It's just unreal.
It is. Almost. And we just have to open our eyes and we find it and put the work into it and stay consistent. So I think that's the resounding message here today. So I really appreciate it, Alex. Yeah, thanks again for coming. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. It's really a pleasure. Always.
We'll chat soon. Thank you again, everybody. Bye.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye. All right, that was my chat with Alex. Thank you so much for watching through the entire thing. I really do appreciate it. And I think it's really valuable to honestly get another person's perspective on maybe some similar topics that I talk about, but understanding how, they approach it. And Alex has some really wise advice there about really just knowing what you're going for with your musical career. What are you really trying to achieve and what makes you happy, right? Because you could be doing work you hate and that just kind of sucks the life out of you. So if you find those are opportunities that you want to explore and you're willing to put in the work and be consistent with it, then you can start to see those rewards, which are exponential over time. But do remember, it is a slow but rewarding game that you definitely want to stick with in the long run, because over time you can then build and transition into more of a full-time income, which can then support your passions. And that's at the end of the day what we really want, right? So definitely check out his audio entrepreneur challenge again if you haven't yet. I'll leave the links below in the description box. And just so you know, it is an affiliate link, which just means that if you purchase using that link, then part of your payment will come back to support me and this channel, which is greatly appreciated. There's no obligation, of course, but it does help to support both of us if you use the link below to sign up for his challenge. And again, if you want to take a look at my personal views on things, I've also done an interview on Alex's channel where we talk about music and business as well. So if you want to check that out and hear what I have to say about those certain topics, then I'd love for you to check that out, and you can click the end screen that's showing up right now. Thank you again for watching. I appreciate it. I'll catch you in the next video, and take care. Bye-bye.